Fingers crossed, everybody. Yes, okay. YouTube is going, Facebook is going. It's time to start the show. So here we go. And let's do this. And I'm my own tech person, so this is why this is going on like this. Here we go. All right. Now I will explain why I have a blonde wig. Oh, I've got to fix this there. Now you can see a little bit better. Okay, YouTube can see. This is my latest song, White Blonde Wig, entitled White Women Achieved So Much Fame. We labeled them Karens as sort of a game, which also tagged nice ones, and that was a shame. But now there's a perfect new name. Oh yes, Ivanka is the new Karen. After that insipid speech had us swearing nothing but meaningless platitudes therein. That's why Ivanka is now the new Karen. Your journey did not come without a few tears, like the ones I shed for the protesters I had tear-gassed at Daddy's photo op. Ivankas think their wisdom needs to be heard, no matter how clueless or truly absurd. By meaning or grammar they are undeterred, or they just architect a new word. Oh yes, Ivanka is the new Karen, with her self-satisfied smirking and glaring, plus trying to sell us the schmata she's wearing, of genuine feeling or talent she's bearing. I know all you little people will be inspired by hearing that I have found my own greatest personal growth from moments of real discomfort. Like that one time I had to fly commercial. She complied some cliches and had some staffer write it, and thought we would all be impressed and delighted. But it's not cancel culture if you're disinvited, 'cause of violence your team incited. Oh yes, Ivanka is the new Karen, a failed shoe designer whose privilege is blaring. Lectures on discomfort she ought to stop sharing, with her breathy voice, funny smile, and weird staring. No person will be unchanged, albeit this present hardship, but your adventure will commence ever new on a relative basis. And to show you how smart I am, I'll throw in references to Isaac Newton and Star Wars. This vain, vapid princess, with her fake nose and blonde rinses, whose smugness causes winces, and who clearly evinces no knowledge or compassion, not an ember, but we'll get rid of her after November. So thank you. Welcome to Songs Sean Hannity Would Hate. I am not a blonde and I can't stand it, so I've got to get this thing off and go back to my normal brunette. Nothing against blondes. I should not be one, but when I put her wig on, I feel like Ivanka. Anyway, I'm going to do some of my most recent political songs, and I'll also look in the chat for requests. So let's see who's here. Mike is here. Oh, shared around a bit. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Mike. So watch whenever. Computers, yes. Peter's here. Pete's in Silver Spring. Oh, Kathy's here. VA in the house. Juliet says she loves me as a blonde. And Carol, oh, that's great. Let's see who's here. Pam, I think that's all who's commenting on YouTube, but it's all working. So let's get to a song in honor of a certain orange-faced tyrant's birthday. So we declare today President Obama Day, but I can still write songs about him. And I get to rock out here. There's a president who is an angry old man with his torrents of lies and his lack of a plan. He refuses to act like a thoughtful adult, and he's only at home being praised by his cult. He's proud of his tweets, though he can barely read, with a family subsisting on grifting and greed, and our country is led by an angry old man. I love to rock this out. When reporters confront him, he's boorish and crass, with his foot in his mouth and his head up his ass. He's defensive and rude, in each fight he can't win. Seems women especially get under his skin when their questions are tough and he's starting to fume. He just packs up his toys and storms out of the room, which is why he is known as the angry old man. You'd think at a crisis we could skip divisiveness and partisanship, embrace cooperation like our leaders should. But all this bozo cares about is his ego, so he'll whine and pout. His tantrums make most 3-year-olds look pretty good. Right. So the White House is led by an angry old coot in his fawning cocoon and his ill-fitting suit, blames everyone else for his deadly mistakes, or claims that the actual numbers are fakes, spreads conspiracy theories and tries to distract, but his crazy behavior cannot change the fact that the polling looks bad for the angry old man. He's too busy to deal with vital oversight as he watches Fox News and tweets insults all night. His Obamagate nonsense is truly bizarre. Will the GOP ever think he's gone too far? Not a chance. His enablers are fine with it all, but he's bringing them down with them coming this fall when the country gets rid of the angry old man. Yeah, we'll get rid of the angry old man. Anyway, I'm going to mute this. I left that on just because the Billy Joel stuff was really, really fun. So yeah, I love Billy Joel too. And I actually I can't really completely play that in time, so that's why I have a track for that. I don't know about you. I'm very encouraged by the poll numbers I've been reading lately about the number of former supporters of his who were jumping ship. I was on a podcast interview panel, and the moderator asked, do we think that people like Mattis and General Milley and some of the other former supporters who were criticizing him, do we think they're being brave or just self-protective? And I said, I don't really care what their reasoning is. The fact is they're on the inside. They're seeing the writing on the wall. They think he's going down, and they want to jump ship before the Titanic sinks with them on it. And whether you think the rats are good or bad when they jump ship, they're saying they know the ship's going down. So that is a hint, by the way, for my next song next week. I think I have to do something themed with Titanic. So, thank you. Brunette, definitely. Yeah. I think I shouldn't be a blonde. So I am going to do a few more of my more recent songs and then open it up for some requests and see if there's either one of my recent songs you want to hear or an issue you'd like to see me address. I've got a few about a lot of recent issues. And this next one was from a couple of weeks ago, so I haven't performed this live yet. So we'll see. You can kind of see I'm leaning down, looking at a few lyrics. This one was inspired by the whole idea of just pretending that the coronavirus was going away. And I saw an editorial that said, is the Trump administration trying to pick a fight with Mother Nature? And I'm old enough to remember a certain commercial. So see if this reminds you of anything. I need flowers in my hair. Oh, wait. I have some. Hold on a second. I'm going to start that over. I think I have a couple of flowers here. Let's see if I can. I have more than one. Oh, well, I've just got one, so I'll put a flower in. So here we go. So if you imagine me with flowers all over my hair, does this give you a hint? Here we go. Whenever there's a crisis to which people show defiance, children, my advice is pay attention to science. You need to heed the data or your troubles will be major. Please don't begin a fight you cannot win. It's not nice to screw Mother Nature. A virus is adaptive in ways we cannot rival, so experts must be tapped if you want a chance at survival. It takes research, testing, tracing, not some back-to-business wager. But if to facts you're averse, the next wave will be worse. It's not nice to screw Mother Nature. You can read the news or scan it to see the damage humans do. If you keep messing with my planet, I might just mess with you. When everyone is reeling and for normalcy you're hoping, don't trust some schmo's gut feeling about when you should reopen. You can try to cook the numbers or rewrite the nomenclature, but you cannot really hide how many people died. Don't even try to fool Mother Nature. I gave you birds and bees and flowers to delight each girl and boy. But you'd best respect my powers, 'cause I've got some you won't enjoy. In conclusion, I just wish you would keep this point in sight, folks. It's a non-partisan issue. Facts aren't left or right, folks, but these nut jobs in the White House and within the legislature are acting clueless as hell, and I just want to yell. It's not nice to screw Mother Nature. When it's science you solve, it sure pisses me off. It's not nice to screw Mother Nature. So do you all remember those commercials? Let's see if we've got anybody in the chat. Let's see. Alexia says she calls him the Scrotus, so-called ruler of the United States. That's great. Pam, I'm glad you like Mother Nature. Let's see if we got, Peggy, you think I'm funny. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you. So do you all remember those Mother Nature commercials? It was for, I thought it was Parquet, but it was for chiffon margarine. And there was this wonderful character actress whose name is escaping me, but if you look her up, who played Mother Nature, she was a wonderful character actress. And you would think, like all serious actors, she would, poo-poo the commercials. And she said, no, are you kidding? It was a great deal she got. She was doing Broadway, but she got a bunch of movie and TV work from that. And she's still alive. She's 92. And she was wonderful in those commercials. There's a couple of them available on YouTube. So I'm going to get rid of the flower. And one of the things I like to say is that, I have my issues with the orange one, but you got to give him credit for the fact that he's making satire great again. MSGA. You look at some of the TV talk show hosts who, like Stephen Colbert was struggling a little bit after he let go of the Colbert Report and was just doing the show as himself. But with Trump, he's started to get on fire with political comedy. Samantha Bee is amazing. Even Jimmy Fallon, who used to be kind of nonpartisan and got in trouble for playing with Trump's hair. He's been doing some really pointed political humor. Let's just say Trump makes it very, very easy. And the other thing is he's so consistent that songs that I wrote 3 or 4 years ago are probably still relevant. Like this next one, which isn't even about Trump, but one of his enablers. Let's say Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham have both been in the news a lot lately. Lindsey Graham, because a group called the Lincoln Project, if you're familiar with that, it's a bunch of Republicans or former Republican operatives who really don't like Trump and a lot of his surrounding circle. And they released an ad that is just Lindsey Graham saying horrible things about Trump before he started kissing up to him so much. So that's really fun. And then Mitch McConnell, who won't say no to him, who's blocking additional relief for people hit financially by the coronavirus. And I wrote this a couple of years ago when evidence came out of how much those two had been tied to Russian money. So here we go. Moscow Mitch and Leningrad Lindsay, one's kind of slow and one's a bit mincy. Both started out helping rich folks get more rich. But lately there can be no refuting, they're in cahoots with Trump and Putin. What cats, Leningrad Lindsay and Moscow Mitch. Moscow Mitch and Leningrad Lindsay, the hashtags are getting under their skin, see. Seems a little humor makes them twitch. They're both getting angry and bitter as those names are trending lots on Twitter. Poor sad Leningrad Lindsay and Moscow Mitch. Moscow Mitch and Leningrad Lindsay, full of it, hypocrite, witless twins each, leaving their reputations in the ditch. It's a hard rhyme sequence. Blocking attempts to protect our election, but to Russian money they've no exception. Makes me mad, Leningrad Lindsay and Moscow Mitch. One more verse. Moscow Mitch and Leningrad Lindsay, spread those names from Queens to Quincy. Hey, to make these rhymes I fudged a smidge. But now we're seeing reasons aplenty. They both might be in trouble in 2020, and their states could make a welcome switch. Too bad, Leningrad Lindsay and Moscow Mitch. Das Vidanya. So that's Moscow Mitch. And let's see. Oh, MAG, make the asshole go away. Yes, that's a perfect acronym. Martha, I'm glad you love this. Oh, Janice, I'm glad you remember. I've got one more planned one based on current events, then I'll start opening it up to some requests. But if you want to chime in with requests in the chat window, please go ahead. So again, some of the people in the Trump circle keep repeating the behaviors that I might have written about a little while ago. So this next song is about Devin Nunes. He's a California congressman from the Bakersfield area, if anybody's somewhere in the valley, like there. And I don't know how many of you heard this story, so if you have, bear with me because some people haven't. He, California, especially in 2018, went pretty solidly blue, even the parts where I grew up, Southern California. I grew up in Irvine, which is in Orange County, which we used to call the red state in the middle of California. When I was growing up, there were even fewer Democrats than Jews, and that was saying a lot. But now it went pretty solidly blue in the last congressional election. And even parts of like the valley and the farming area, we're leaning that way, but there are still some pretty conservative parts. And he is a former dairy farmer who sort of achieved some notoriety for a couple of things. One was he took a lot of farm subsidies, even though he really wasn't a full-time farmer. And the other is he used to rail about frivolous lawsuits until a Twitter account, parody account, started making fun of him. This still unmasked parody account is called Devin Cow, and it purports to be a cow from his dairy farm. And all it is complaining about how he's not a good farmer and not a good congressman in really bad dairy farm related puns about how he's milking his constituents. They have a beef, utter failure. Actually, Juliet, my best friend from high school, is on, and she and I used to get into, and the whole debate team used to get into, I was on the debate team, of course, we used to get into pun contests, driving to tournaments. So yeah, the Devin Nunes cow account is just a bunch of bad puns. But this got under the congressman's skin, so he sued the account and Twitter and a couple of people who had retweeted it. Mind you, this is the guy who kind of made his congressional reputation on opposing frivolous lawsuits. But the best part about the whole thing is that the account had like less than 2,000 followers until the lawsuit. And the publicity got the account I think at the time it was like 750,000, like way over 700,000 followers. And I just thought the whole thing was hilarious. So I wrote a song about it. And I figured, oh, that's old news. But no, Nunes is in the news again because his lawyer has finally said he gives up. he feels that the court system has failed them because they cannot find out who this person is. So they might have to drop the lawsuit. So I could not. Dina Dietrich, thank you, Robert. And Aaron, yeah, you just missed a couple of songs, but you missed the whole setup for Devin Nunes's cow account. But the great thing about YouTube and Facebook is that you can just go back and watch the recording later. It will be up there. So here is, oh, Juliet says, woohoo! I don't know if that's to Devin Nunes or to debate tournaments. But anyway, so this is the song I wrote about Devin Nunes's cow account and the lawsuit. And I think it's still, I don't know. This is just a fun one. And I love the original song. And there is kind of a sing-along at the end. This is one of those old 70s folk songs, and so if you want to get out what used to be a lighter now is an iPhone, you can do that and sing along at the end. It's pretty. Frivolous lawsuits, Nunes would say, oh, I guess now I start here, are something we should not allow. I guess he changed his view today. Now that they're mocking Devin's cow. I knew I was early. Now that they're mocking Devin's cow. Here we go. Mocking Devin's cow. This hilarious Twitter account is how his feelings are hurt and he's saying ow. Everybody mocking Devin's cow. This fragile snowflake is upset by pun-filled tweets that insult and curse. Honey, any woman on the internet deals every day with a whole lot worse. Everybody mocking Devin's cow. And this stupid lawsuit let us endow the account with more followers than Nunes now. Everybody mocking Devin's cow. He'll sue. Everybody, he'll sue. He'll sue. One big move. I don't know why. That song just cracks me. Oh, I have my own little applause meter here thing. Woo! Thank you to all of you for singing along. Yeah, Aaron, you've been asking for this I Love It song, and Scott just does not have time to learn it, but Scott will come sing something for us. I hope. Michael Muhammad says I'm burning it up. I hope that's what that means and not I'm on fire. And anyway, I'm so glad you're here. So if anybody has any requests, please chime in. It doesn't have to be political. I thought I'd throw in some pandemic songs. Some of the issues I thought I would touch on that are still up are voter suppression, reproductive choice, racism, the photo op in front of Lafayette Square, his lies, you name it. So anybody, if you want to weigh in a request, otherwise I'll just start picking a few different things. But let's see, cracks me up too. Okay. Oh, thank you, Mike. Let's see. Oh, I'll take one little break here. In the description of the event, there is a tip jar. And somebody expressed some concern because I give a mailing address. That is a post office box. It just doesn't look like it because it says number instead of P.O. box, but it is. It's not my home address. So thank you for the couple people who were worried that I was giving out my home address for some of the trolls who occasionally like to comment on my songs. but that helps make it possible for me to keep doing these, but only if you haven't been hit financially by the shutdowns and the coronavirus-related economic damage. So if you are in a position, I want to thank Pam in advance. She already donated before I even started, which was wonderful. And Juliet, who bought a bunch of my mugs for her daughters. I also have mugs on, if you just go to my website, laurenmayer.com, which isn't in there, but maybe somebody can put that in the comments. And yeah, Aaron, I see your comment. I'm sorry we don't have that song, and it's probably not going to happen in the next few weeks, but we will try. If anybody doesn't have any requests, let's see. I don't see any more coming up. Okay, I guess you guys don't have any requests, so I'll just keep going and doing stuff. So the whole debacle, I think is how it's pronounced, in Georgia, where people were waiting in line 6 hours to vote, and these brand new machines that hadn't been checked were a mess. And just interesting that the precincts that had the worst problems were all primarily minority and or Democratic leaning. And anyway, there's an old excuse that they keep trotting out about voter fraud, which is newly relevant because of the push towards mail-in balloting, which works really great. A lot of counties in California have it. I don't know how many of you have mail-in voting, but it works great. We've had it for quite some time in San Mateo County, where I live, and Oregon and a few other states do it statewide. And given how unsafe it can be to open up these polls, especially when most poll workers are older and at more risk of contracting the virus, and all the problems they had in the states where, was it Wisconsin, where they forced everybody to go vote, even though half or more than half the polls were closed. So their objection to mail-in balloting is that there are all these opportunities for fraud. As a thing that's going around on Facebook says, we trust the mail for our driver's licenses, our paychecks, the ID we need to vote with. We can probably trust it for voting too. So here's my newly relevant take on voting. Oh, I have to explain one thing about this. As you can tell, I promise just my nose itches, and I think that's an old wives' tale that says it means somebody's talking about me. So who knows? Anyway, I forgot to preface this song by saying voter fraud is such a fraudulent excuse that to sing about it, I decided to become a fraudulent blues singer. And I have a little costume for that. So I'm like one of those old blues singers, and I have my sunglasses. Oh, I can't find my sunglasses, and that's fine because I can't read my lyrics with the sunglasses on anyway. So here we go. Fraudulent blues singer singing about fraudulent excuse. You think that making voting safer and easier to do would be a no-brainer and nonpartisan too. But some states have voting systems that are seriously flawed. And they keep trotting out that same old tired myth. But voter fraud is a fraud. These type of laws discriminate. There's evidence to confirm it. And why can't you use a student ID, but you can use a gun permit? These types of voter intimidation tactics should be outlawed, yeah. Because voter suppression is a real problem, but voter fraud is a fraud. The GOP is shameless. Their suppression will remember. Let's hope their fight against voting rights bites them this November. Not to mention those attempts at poll watching with its thinly veiled racist nod for something that's almost non-existent. Because voter fraud is a fraud. Let's do the numbers, shall we? For example, you're more likely to win the lottery or be struck by lightning or be elected as president. And yeah, these days that's frightening. You're more likely to give birth to quadruplets or win an Olympic gold medal, or be hurt by a pogo stick or an exploding Rachel Ray tea kettle. Being attacked by a shark is more likely, also flying to the moon. Being canonized as a saint or killed by a vending machine or balloon, or dying from flammable pajamas or mad cow disease. Voter fraud is less likely than all of these. Such ludicrous excuses, this argument is made up, which makes you think, which part of democracy are they afraid of? Disenfranchising voters, trampling on rights so roughshod. Yeah. When restrictions are so broad, we can see through the facade of this right-wing goon squad as they shamelessly maraud, till we're frankly slack-jawed and say, oh my God, 'cause voter fraud is a fraud. Yeah, 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 yeah. Schmucks. And I think I have a special guest who has just popped in. I'm not seeing any more comments, so I'm wondering if the comments aren't working or if people are just not saying things. So if somebody is still listening and wants to just say hey so I can make sure comments are still working, that would be great. Is anybody still there listening? It says I'm still live, but I'm wondering if my comments are just not working. Comment moderation. Let's see. So if anybody is still watching, say hi. I'll keep going anyway because I'm going to record this, but I'm not going to wait for requests. Let's see. Pam is still here. Good. So, hey, Alvarant, and Pam says hi on YouTube. So maybe the Facebook comments just don't work. Oh, good. Yes, Nina says we should have the lottery people run elections. Yes, we could have a lot of people. So I'm going to bring in my special guest because everybody loves it when Scott joins my show. So come on out. Woohoo! Woo-hoo. So, does anybody have a request for Scott? You have us too many blues. You have us. I don't know what that means, Michael. You have us too many blues. Do you not want more blues, or what do you want? Let's see. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like a good comment. Pam, let's see. So, if nobody has a request for Scott, I'll just ask him what he feels like singing. What do you feel like singing?
Can we do your song?
Yeah. Any Elton John fans? Here, I'm going to sit, but why don't you stand? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it so I can stand, so it's a little easier to sing. And I will play the piano for him.
All right. Hi, everybody.
I'm going to do it in C because it's easier.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. It's not one of those you can easily hide. Don't have much money, but boy, if I did, I'd buy a big house where we both could live. If I was a sculptor, but then again, no, or a man who makes potions in a traveling show. I know it's not much, but it's the best I can do. My gift is my song, and this one's for you. And you can tell everybody this is a song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down in words how wonderful life is when you're in the world. Let's keep the verses. I sat on the roof, you know these verses? Kicked off the moss, but a few of the verses, well, they've got me quite crossed. But the sun's been quite kind while I wrote this song. It's for people like you of that. It turned on. So excuse me for getting all of these things I do. Oh, you see, I've forgotten if they're green or the blue.
Brown.
Anyway, the thing is, what I really mean, yours are the sweetest eyes I've ever seen. And you can tell everybody this is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind that I put down in words how wonderful life is while you're in the world. Ooh, I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind that I put down in words how wonderful life is while you're in the world. Ooh, you're in the world.
That was sweet. Michael says it was autocorrect. We're quiet because you gave us the blues. Hi, Kathy. Oh, it's good to hear you, see you. Oh, Pam says she lives. Okay, we got to get Scott to do one more.
One more?
Yeah, do you want to do, I think I saved the lyrics for, let's see, put that in here. Want to do that one?
Sure.
So this is a parody of a song from a musical called Call Me Madam. I actually wrote this way back when, when he made the comment about certain third world countries. You know, he didn't want immigrants from bleep hole countries. Around the time he had the first publicly released medical exam, and we were wondering, is there something wrong with him, or is he just a horrible person? But I feel like the medical issue is still relevant. I don't know how many of you saw the controversy over the, they're calling it Ramp Gate. Has anybody heard of Ramp Gate? So what happened is he did that just ridiculous stunt of having to go to West Point and forcing all of these cadets who were graduating. They had to come out of quarantine and come to campus just so he could do the photo op with the military. My favorite part was after he finished his really weird, slurring, nonsensical speech, the applause was like tepid. 5 people, tepid from like 10 people with a crowd of several hundred. And then there was a ramp from the stage that he could not, and he also tried to drink water. And this is my impression of Trump drinking water. If any of you can see it, he did this. Get up higher so you can see.
Was he afraid of it or something?
I think, well, there's pretty significant evidence there's something going on. Maybe he had a stroke, or he just doesn't know how to drink from a cup. Who knows? And then when he was walking down the ramp next to one of the generals, he was halting, like dragging one leg, which again is another symptom of a stroke, and barely could walk, really slowly, and looked like he was stumbling until he got to the end when he kind of took one step off the ramp. So people went nuts on Twitter, but of course, you know, this is what's important, what he should be spending his time on. So he tweets out, it was a very, very, very steep ramp. And, Kathy said, or he's sedated. Yeah, that's probably likely too, or too much Adderall. I don't know. But he tweets out this huge defensive thing about, I am in great shape, and it was a very steep ramp, and I ran down the last 10 steps. It's like, anyway, so we thought this song was still relevant.
I go first, right? Yep. I hear tweeting from the dead of night, from a president who likes to fight. All day long his comments don't sound bright. I wonder why. I wonder why. as our country's going down the drain. Lots of people want to ascertain, is he off his rocker or insane, or just a royal pain who likes to lie?
You don't need analyzing why Trump's so polarizing, from speeches to his Twitter feed. Claiming he's the least racist only proves he's the basest, or he thinks we're like him and can't read. The doctor's examination gave us no explanation why he acts broken, not a bit whole. Don't ask science to explain what is wrong with this guy's brain. He's not sick, he's just a bleep hole. You don't need
from the dead of night,
polarizing,
from
speeches
a
to his
president who
Twitter
likes to
feed.
fight. All day long he's comments don't sound right. I wonder why. I wonder why. As our country's going down
gave
the
us no
drain,
explanation
lots
why
of people want to ascertain, is he off his rocker or insane, or just a royal pain who likes to lie? Is he off his rocker or insane, or just a royal pain who likes to lie?
Woo! Thank you, thank you, thank you. Aaron says, Scott, you were great. Yeah, the water glass was very slippery.
Very slippery.
Yeah, Kathy says, they
was
took all the
huge.
videos down. That's what we have here. He seems like he might have had a stroke. Yeah, definitely. Pam says she loves it. Oh, Pam, you were the
Thanks,
best.
Dan Nerney.
Oh, Dan is here. Where's Dan? Oh,
Yeah,
there he
you
is.
guys, what a team.
Oh.
And somebody named Aaron.
Okay, can you
Thanks,
talk for
Aaron.
a second so I can get my next costume?
I was going to scoot and
Like, talk for 2 seconds.
take
Just
another nap.
Say hello to everybody.
Oh, hi, everybody. So
I'll make a costume.
I'm here giving my wife a costume change. How are you? Yeah, politics, our country, terrific. See, I don't have the gift that my wife has. It'll be a very huge show. It'll be huge. Wow.
Okay.
Costume. All right. Have a good show.
So, I know this looks a little bit like Little Red Riding Hood, but I hope you get the basic idea of what this is. This is another song about reproductive choice, and it's under assault, and they're now using coronavirus as an excuse to close down abortion providers. So, here we go. Oh, I think I have to start over. Let's see, I do one. That's right. Okay, here we go. My thing is, here we go. Sit right down and you'll hear a tale of patriarchy. As many states are going back to the 19th century. It's primitive as can be. They tout the sanctity of life, but their actions have clearly shown. Once babies are out of our wombs, they're totally on their own. Screw 'em, they're on their own. Not rape, incest, or the mother's help. No exceptions may be filed. And so they'd make an 11-year-old carry her rapist's child. No wonder they are reviled. It's strange in states which pull this crap There also happens to be the highest rates of maternal and infant death and also teen pregnancy. Seems abstinence-only education doesn't work. Just saying. Men saying things like consensual rape sure proves they don't respect me. If they're so concerned, let's make men get a mandatory vasectomy. While we're at it, let's make it a natural vasectomy. We've got to act right now and derail this basic rights restriction in Alabama, Georgia and Kentucky, Mississippi, Missouri, Utah, Ohio, and more. So without fail, let's make sure The Handmaid's Tale stays a work of fiction. Well, the cape I don't quite have the right Handmaid's Tale cape, so I borrowed my old Inside Out Dracula cape, which doesn't quite work, but I like the bonnet. It kind of works. Yep. Kathy says, yep, Scott is one heck of a singer. Let's see. Okay, I got to use this line. Alvarin, I'm not sure who that is, but the name on YouTube says, I hear COVID-19 has reduced teen pregnancy rates in the South because so many family reunions got canceled. Yeah, what's the line? If a couple gets divorced in Alabama, are they still first cousins? Scott, yeah. So I've got time for a few more songs. Does anybody have any requests? I know it's weird. It's not like a Zoom thing where I can unmute people, but chime in in the comments if you have requests. I mean, I can just pick a few of my favorite songs. What does Elvin said? Oh, Jason from Funk Fest. Yes, I remember you. Does anybody have any requests? Should I just keep going with politics, or does anybody want to hear Hire More? Oh, okay. This is the sexual harassment prevention song. So I'm going to actually do a couple of the piano, so I will tilt down a little bit. I got to tilt my screens down a bit so you can see the piano. You can see the iPad I'm playing my tracks on. I actually am not using it for this one. So can you all see? Oh, YouTube, you're getting kind of a glimpse of the back of my office that isn't hidden by my little jerry-rigged camera. Screen. The very first time I did a live stream, I got to give a shout out to my sister Nancy. The very first time I did a live stream, I just kind of hung a sheet up there and it looked like a sheet. So she said, before you do any more live streams, get a curtain and it'll look a little bit more like a theater and a little less like you're in front of a bed sheet. So this is thanks to my sister. And I do love my purple curtains. So this is the song, yes, Ray Charles messed around. I'll see if Scott can learn some Ray Charles, but he's done for today. So I'll finish out, and this is by request the sexual harassment prevention song. I have to remember what key it's in. The news is full of sexual misconduct and harassment, and what to do consumes each institution. But instead of trying to analyze what each remark or pass meant, there just might be an easier solution. You could do a lot of training and encourage more complaining, or you could hire and promote more women, make everybody in the joint sit through an hour-long PowerPoint, or hire and promote more women. You could ban socializing and employee fraternizing till in rules and regulations you're swimming. Have your board of directors hire inspectors with lie detectors, or maybe just appoint more women. You could give girls a dress code, making sure that nothing showed so the guys aren't triggered by women. Or that crap we could torpedo, boys could own their own libido and stop blaming everything on women. With each story coming through, you could sniff if it's true, till the list of allegations is brimming. But instead of having men tell us what to do again, we might try listening to women. You could emulate Mike Pence and decline any events where there's a chance you'd be alone with a woman, which is totally unfair. If you avoid us everywhere, opportunities won't be there for women. Plus, if a guy's such a wuss, he can't help grabbing someone's private parts till he's told his lust needs trimming. Instead of one more chance to keep it in his pants, maybe he should be replaced with a woman. There seems to be a troubling double standard for men who have harassed, assaulted, or philandered. Democrats, we reject them, while Republicans elect them or appoint them to the Supreme Court. Too soon. You could make a lot of noise about boys being boys or realize that's lies and misdirection. You could sputter and squawk, it's just locker room talk. That worked in the 2016 election. How many times before have we thought we won this war? And nope, our hope kept dimming. But now things are moving fast, maybe change is coming at last, because we're finally believing women. Yes, the best antidote is to hire and promote and elect and vote for more women. Oh, thank you. Never too soon. Yes, hire more women and hire more people of color and any underrepresented, underappreciated group. Basically do the opposite of what the Trump administration wants us to do. So I have let's see, no more requests on Facebook because I've got time for a couple more songs if anybody wants to chime in with a request. If not, let's see. I did want to end with something a little cheerful, so I'm going to reorient everything so I can stand back up and do one of my, let's see, there's my Facebook, and let's get YouTube back up. There we go. There's been a lot of crappy news, but I do like celebrating good news occasionally. And I don't know if any of you have heard of Jose Andres. He's a celebrity chef. He was on Top Chef and a bunch of other things like that. And he came into, at least I heard of him, came to my attention after the hurricane in Puerto Rico, when he went down with a ton of food and some cooks and started just serving meals to people. And because that got a lot of publicity, he was able to start a whole foundation called World Central Kitchen, and it's WCK.org. It's a great organization, and they were focusing on humanitarian relief in parts of the country that had been hit by natural disasters. But with the coronavirus closing restaurants and affecting so much in communities where food was already scarce, he is now in, I think, almost every state, hundreds of cities. And what he has done, which is so wonderful, is he has gotten funding to open restaurants to provide meals for first responders and anybody who is in danger of hunger and needs some food support. So it's keeping restaurants and their employees working and getting paid and doing what they do, which is cooking. And I joked to somebody that he's basically like the Jewish mother of humanitarian aid. Here, eat. So I wanted to write a song about him. And what really inspired that, and Nina asks for internet trolls. All right, I'll do that after this one, because I have to go back down. Anyway, this was, I read an interview with him. Well, first of all, if you can find his interviews anywhere, he's just adorable and bubbly and charming and so funny and cute. And he's just cheerful. And his expression is, or his mantra, he says, is he feels that his mission is to provide hope one plate at a time. That phrase rang a bell for me, so this is what I came up with for that. There's a chef who started in Spain and then became a huge celebrity. What a mensch, using the power of food to help during adversity. Jose Andres helps people cope, and on a truly global scope, it's all about providing hope one plate at a time. He started a group called the World Central Kitchen, and in times of grief, they pitch in with food relief, one plate at a time. In this crisis today, they've served over 10 million meals and gotten restaurants paid. You could say he's like the Jewish mother of humanitarian aid, because we share the same ideal that giving people a warm meal is what can help the whole world heal, one plate at a time. WCK.org has lots of super programs. The work they do is great, and we can even all donate one plate at a time. 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 So that's my Jose Andres song. Pam says she likes this one. And let's see what I have here. So I got a request for Dear Internet Trolls. I'm going to do one more standing up, and then I'll sit down. We'll end with Dear Internet Trolls. I had to end with one of my recent ones. You get to see how I put a wig on, which is basically getting my hair out of the way. This poor thing needs to go to the hairdresser, which is how you can tell it's not a real Southern wig, because the hair salons have already opened there. But I am respecting shelter in place, so this girl has had some, needs a little help. Anyway, this was inspired by the photo op at Lafayette Square, I think a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago, the day where they tear gassed protesters so that Trump could pose holding a Bible. And if you look carefully in the picture, you can see that it's upside down. I just loved that part of it. And I had to write a song about that. So here we go. Seems Trump was tired of hiding like some frightened little Frodo, and so his team decided they should stroll across the road, overtaking local church steps for a truly clueless photo. I'm a Jew, but I know that ain't Christian. After all these stressful months of the shutdowns and sequesters, with all of the frustration and the anger that now festers, you'd think they wouldn't make it worse by tear gassing protesters. I'm a Jew, but I know that ain't Christian. They didn't bother asking any church leaders in town, and naturally Trump posed holding the Bible upside down. Heck, there's not much about the Christian faith he understands, though his favorite part of praying is the laying on of hands, and the stuff about loving your neighbor, but only if she's hot. Well, apparently Ivanka thought this gimmick would reverse the damage of Trump's tweets, which threatened violence and curse. She carried Daddy's prop in a $1,500 purse, the perfect accessory for a tear gassing. I'm a Jew, but I know that ain't Christian. Well, the whole thing may have backfired since the fallout hasn't ceased, 'cause it don't look real Christian if you push around a priest. It didn't turn out as the landmark moment of his dreams, but at least he sure inspired a ton of funny memes and cartoons and jokes and riffs on late night TV about the Bible in his hands going up in flames, which I'm actually surprised didn't happen. They're trying to spin this as the time his strength and leadership emerge, although a basic grasp of history or a Google search'll prove posing for a photo doesn't make you Winston Churchill. Nice try, Kaylee. You make me glad that I'm a Yaley. I'm a Jew, but I know that ain't Christian. That Bible might help things a bit, but only if you open it. Oh, I'm a Jew, but I know that ain't Christian. So I got to explain a couple of the jokes in there. Kaylee McEnany, I like to call her the blonde bimbo press secretary. She claimed that was like Winston Churchill surveying the damage of the bombing of London and some of the during World War II. That Trump posing with that Bible was somehow very Winston Churchillian. Churchill's already in trouble because he was connected to a lot of the worst colonial abuses in Kenya and other then British territories. He's probably not the person they want to be citing anyway. And believe it or not, as dumb as she sounds, Kaylee did go to Harvard. And I went to Yale. So I have nothing against some of my friends who went to Harvard, including President Obama, not one of my friends, but somebody who went to Harvard. But let's just say Kaylee does not reflect well on the institution. So I'm going to end with the request from Nina for Dear Internet Trolls, which is the song I wrote after I first got slammed with horrible trolling from people who didn't like the fact that I was writing songs about, feminism and gun control. And speaking of the Obamas, I decided to emulate Michelle Obama, but do my own spin on her wise words, which is when they go low, I write songs about them. But before I do that, I just want to say I'm making a slight change. I always do 10% of anything I make in the virtual tip jar or my additional Patreon donors from each concert. I give that to a worthy cause. The last few times it's been to a food bank in San Francisco. But for the next few, I'm going to give it to the Black Lives Matter. I think it's through Act Blue. There is if you just go to donate to Black Lives Matter, it will get you there. And it's to support all of the activity they're doing to bail out protesters who've been arrested and to help businesses that have been affected by looting. And a couple of my good friends who research things like that have said that is the best place because they spread it out to so many different organizations. So Pam says, oh, hey, and to play. This is great. And let's see. So anyway, if you want to support what I do and also add to what I can contribute to Black Lives Matter, please go to the virtual tip jar. There's Venmo, PayPal, and my post office box, just so you don't worry, anybody who's new. Or you can go to my website, laurenmayer.com, and buy some music or some mugs or anything else you want on there. I think there's still tickets left from the concert I did with Scott 2 weeks ago. So if you're interested in getting the link to that, that is a pay-per-view. You can buy the inexpensive ticket and we'll send you a link to the unlisted YouTube video. And with that, I want to thank all of you for coming. I'll thank Scott in absentia since he had to go back up. And I will end with Nina's request, but please chime in with the, even those of you who aren't watching this live, if you want to put in comments any requests you have for future shows. I'm going to keep doing these every other week for now. And we'll see if there's enough demand to do them weekly. But for the time being, I think I'm going to stick to every other week. So I will post on this Facebook and on YouTube when the next one will be. And with that said, here is my take on the people who, let's see, what did I put? When they go low, I write songs about them. I think this is because I realized at first when I got slammed by trolls, they were pretty violent and disgusting and not just disagreeing with me, but commenting pretty negatively on my looks, my religion. I got called the C word spelled with a K. But as I read their comment, at first it was terrifying. Nina is putting a Facebook story up on the comments. So Nina, I'll have to take a look at that afterwards. But I'm sure it sounds interesting. Anyway, when I first started seeing these horrible, hateful comments, it was a little terrifying until I read closer and realized that the only thing to which these nut jobs really posed a threat was the English language. Dear internet trolls, thanks for taking so much time to tell me I'm a worthless jerk and you hate my work. But even folks who don't like my videos do count, and you and your pals have really goosed my view count. Though you think my writing and singing sucks, you help me make a few extra bucks. And you might think that I think your comments are scary, but clearly you just need a hug and a dictionary. Dear internet trolls, gosh, you really sound upset. You want to get it off your chest, but I'm not impressed. Your anti-Semitic sexist slurs would be more compelling if you could be bothered to check your spelling. And as for using foul language to knock me, I've raised teenage sons, so it's hard to shock me. So why think that I think your comments are scary? Clearly you just need a hug and a dictionary and a good therapist. Now some of what you state may seem hateful, but for making me feel famous, I'm grateful. I don't want to sound shrill myself, but you and your pals have already suggested plenty of possible methods to kill myself, so I'm good for now. Thanks. Dear internet trolls, did you think the way your belly ate was gonna make me disappear? Nah, I'm still here, but I know what's behind the misbehaving around your tricks, showing off for each other by waving around your words. If what I create makes you hate and deplore it, you know you could always just ignore it. So don't think that I think your comments are scary. Clearly you just need a hug and a dictionary and a good therapist and a job and some serious medication and something constructive to do with what's clearly too much free time on your hands and a lollipop and a teddy bear. much. I'll see you in 2 weeks, and chime in your requests, but I will have a new video out coming this week with the Titanic theme. Oh, Nina put a link to my tip jar. That is wonderful. Thank you so much. And let's see if any more. House Sparks, yes. And Jason says good night. Love to all of you. Everybody stay safe, stay coronavirus free, wear your mask, support your local artists, musicians, restaurants, essential workers, and thank you all for being part of this community. Really appreciate it. See you all next time.